What you're about to hear about Martin Luther King Jr. may shock some people, but I want you to also keep in mind he's not here today to speak his own mind. But what I also want to say is there's a lot of information going on out there. A lot of people are saying things. Don't always take what people say as the truth. You don't want to be labeled as being gullible. Look for proof. Now, proof is found in, if you find video clips of MLK speaking, if you find writings such as there are books that he's written and have been published. Also, there are people who lived in his era who were around him who also have a list of information that they've also implanted in books and other places that you can read on, and you can really get the real information, the gist of what happened at that time in the life of MLK and other people who were, in his congregation. Many of them have written information, and many of them also have spoken on camera and recordings, so you can hear them, even watch them speak their mind. So what you're about to see now, like I said, make your own judgment, but look for proof. So I want you to check this out to see if this is the kind of proof that you really need about MLK himself and the civil rights movement of that era. Check this out.
I want y'all to take a listen to this video that I came across, and then we're just going to talk about it briefly. Take a listen.
Christians should not support or celebrate Martin Luther King. Here's why. Martin Luther King was an adulterous Marxist who masqueraded as a Baptist minister, but was anything but that, as noted by the fact that he clearly denied the fundamental key doctrines of the Christian faith. Now, this isn't misinformation. You can read his writings yourself and see that what he believed actually lines up more with atheists than it does with Christians. For example, he denied the key doctrine of the virgin birth. He writes, "First, we must admit that the evidence for the tenability of this doctrine is too shallow to convince any objective thinker. To begin with, the earliest written documents in the New Testament make no mention of the virgin birth. Moreover, the Gospel of Mark, the most primitive and authentic of the four, gives not the slightest suggestion of the virgin birth." He also asserts that Christianity finds its roots in paganism. He states that Christianity did copy and borrow from Mithraism cannot be denied. But probably one of the most damnable heresies was his denial of the bodily resurrection of Jesus Christ, which he denied since the age of 13. He states, "At the age of 13, I shocked my Sunday school class by denying the bodily resurrection of Jesus." He goes on to say, "This doctrine upon which the Easter faith rests symbolizes the ultimate Christian conviction that Christ conquered death. From a literary, historical, and philosophical point of view, this doctrine raises many questions." In fact, the external evidence for the authenticity of this doctrine is found wanting. Not only that, but he also denied that Jesus Christ was God. He asserts, "The orthodox attempt to explain the divinity of Jesus in terms of an inherent metaphysical substance within him seems to me quite inadequate. To say that Christ, whose example of living we are bid to follow, is divine in an ontological sense is actually harmful and detrimental." Clearly showing us that Martin Luther King was not a Christian by any stretch of the imagination, and also demonstrating that he was clearly a false prophet according to biblical standards. And in fact, according to 2 Peter 2:14, this caliber of false prophet goes hand in hand with adultery. It states having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin. Well, in 1964, the FBI, under the direction of J. Edgar Hoover, sent a letter to Martin Luther King, accompanied with an audio tape that the FBI claimed contained recordings of King's alleged sexual encounters. A portion of the letter reads, "You will find on the record for all time your filthy, dirty, evil companions, male and females, giving expressions with you to your hideous abnormalities, and some of them to pretend to be ministers of the gospel. Satan can do no more." What incredible evilness. It is all there on the record, your sexual orgies. Listen to yourself, you filthy, abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record, all of your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample. Martin Luther King was a false prophet using Christianity to disseminate his Marxist ideologies.
So what do you think? After hearing this information, what do you believe? Do you believe that there's truth in what you just heard? Do you believe that MLK was not a Christian? Do you believe that he chose Marxism over Christianity? Do you believe that he led a lifestyle that was displeasing to God? If you do believe those things were true, Do you still believe that he was the right man for the right job of leading a people? What do you think?